Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boys of Summer review show. Today, we are reviewing the movie that everybody was talking about last weekend, and I think you know what it is. Pitch Perfect. Yup, had a
Two.
good time. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. There's two of them. My bad. So we reviewed that, and Joe's gonna explain why we did. Why did we do Pitch Perfect, Joe?
Well, we are heathens in that we have not really seen any of the Mad Max movies.
Zero.
And we felt like it would have been a disservice and kind of disingenuous if we tried to watch Fury Road without any kind of background in it and then try to do a review of it for you. So it kind of wound up being between, do we try to catch up on three movies that are roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours, or one 2 hour movie?
And we chose one.
Yeah, we're busy people, and we decided to go the easy way out.
Yeah.
But we kind of had some trepidation with it. We were still sort of like, oh man, is this going to be like another Hot Pursuit? We don't really know. And I think we were pleasantly surprised with the quality of it. So, I mean, with that, what do you think some of your general thoughts about it?
All right. My general thoughts for this movie was actually just very well surprised by it. We watched the first one Saturday night, and it actually was pretty enjoyable. I actually really enjoyed the first one. Then went to go see the second one. It got me kind of excited for it, and I thought the second one was actually a better version of the first one because they were basically the same movie.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of parallels as far as the tensions. I mean, the act structure was virtually
Yeah.
identical. They were almost even the exact same length, I believe.
It was close.
Um,
It was. They both were 2 hour movies. They both kind of had the same drama in it.
yeah, which I mean, like you could even say that about Avengers, the first one in Age of Ultron. Like they're very similar. Like especially the third acts of both of them, where it's just like an all-out fight. The Avengers fighting a bunch of, it's just like they follow like very similar like.
They
plot
kind of
structure.
did, yeah,
So
a little bit.
I mean, it's a lot of sequels do that, and it's okay as long as you do enough to differentiate the first movie and the second movie. And I feel like this one did it.
Yeah, it did enough.
I
Yeah,
feel like The Hangover 2 is an example of doing it not
yeah, doing the exact same
in a
movie
successful
again.
way. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I felt like it was really enjoyable. I felt like I just felt like it was really fun. There was a really mixed audience. Like we had everyone from people our age to older couples to toddlers, which was probably inappropriate. But
I don't know.
it was a really diverse audience, and everyone found laughs out of it at some point.
True.
It was really successful, and yeah, I mean, it was just really enjoyable. I didn't regret it. I felt that we might.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was no Hot Pursuit 2. The movie wasn't Hot Pursuit 2. See, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, the movie was enjoyable. It had good laughs. The acting was on point. The character development. They actually had some character development from the first one to the second one. If you saw the first one, there was jokes in there. There were songs in there from the first one. So I think overall, as a sequel, as just a regular movie, it did its job. It was entertaining. Walked out entertaining. You actually walked out, wanting. I wouldn't mind seeing another one. So I consider this movie a success.
Cut. So beyond the parallels that we already kind of discussed between the two movies, I think the biggest thing that sort of set this one apart was that the stakes were a lot larger.
Yeah,
it
most
wasn't
definitely.
just like a regional like competition that was mostly innocuous and arbitrary. It could have been anyone doing anything. It was like the world championships.
And the team was on the line. Like, they failed. Their
Yeah.
whole Bella group was gone, which is a good sequel, because I think you always want your sequels to, the stakes to be higher.
Up the ante,
And they
as
did
say.
this in this one.
Yeah.
And they also had a good villain because the first one, I don't even know if there really was an antagonist the first one.
I would say the troublemakers were, just because they were kind of the jocks. So
Yeah,
to speak.
it was. Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, I mean, it felt like there was more to emotionally invest in this movie, and I felt like it kind of needed that because one thing about the first one is I felt like the whole time I was kind of just like sitting there, like, and I was like laughing and everything, but it did sort of beg the question, what's the point? Like, why do I really care? Like, besides just watching the performances, which, I mean, if we're going to compare the two, I felt like the performances in this one were much more enjoyable than in the first movie.
Oh yeah, much more enjoyable. They've had the kind of two similar scenes when they did the riff off, or
They
the
did
scene
the riff
off.
off in the
Yeah,
first
one.
one,
Then
and
they it's
the
kind of like the
underground.
second one. They did the same thing in the second one.
Yeah.
But the second one was much better, more entertaining, more laughs, and the performances were actually pretty good too. So
Yeah,
I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it lasted longer, and it did more to further the plot than I felt like the riff off in the first one did. And plus, you know, it was, they got to show off a little bit more comedy. Like David Cross was the mysterious, like, acapella master.
Huge fan. And they had Clay Aiken from the Green Bay Packers make a guest appearance.
Clay Aiken?
Not Clay Aiken. Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Clay Aiken's like American Idol.
Yeah.
He's not.
I mean,
that's too. It's they have
you would
similar
expect
names.
him to be in the movie,
Yeah.
but
See,
yeah,
but
I didn't think.
at least I was close enough.
Yeah.
They're both white and they both have the first name.
Yeah.
That's as close as they get.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it just, this one, it felt like it was almost a remake of the first movie, but like the successful, like, had the direction down, had the writing down, had the everything, like everything was on point. The acting, it was all just better in this one than the first one. And, you know, I think that sometimes a sequel does kind of serve as a pseudo remake, and I think that that's kind of necessary sometimes, especially if you are looking for longevity in a franchise like this one is clearly doing.
I probably is looking for longevity in a franchise, and I agree with you. I think the movie was a success. It was very similar, which I kind of wish it differed a little bit, which we'll get into in a minute, but I think it worked. It was enjoyable. I did walk, like I said before, I walked out of the theater wanting to see another one. The question is where are they going to go next? Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it. The end of the movie, they all graduate, and it's just that new girl. Is her name Emily in the movie?
Emily,
Yeah, Emily, the freshman who comes in, and she's like I think she's the only one who doesn't graduate.
Right.
So she has to find all new people, but I guess you can go with her, start a new movie with her, which I think is risky because then you take Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, and all of them out of it, and they're kind of what makes the movie good. And if you take that out and you start a new one, then you might go down the American Pie road. But if you continue along, I guess you would have to have it a couple years down. I mean, in the movie timeline, they would have to be a little bit older and come back for another reason. But I'm curious. I'm sure they'll make another one because this movie just made $70 million or something opening weekend, so it's going to be another one for sure. It's just which way do they go with it?
I think that probably one of the biggest flaws in this is the relative absence of the troublemakers, the rivals from the first film. I felt like for them to be such a significant entity in the first movie, to have them kind of relegated to a few jokes here and there, and mainly just like the interactions of Bumper and Fat Amy and Becca, Anna Kendrick's character, and Jesse. I felt like...
Well, we also had Emily and Jesse's roommate. Benji, yeah. Those were the big ones from them. Bumper and Fat Amy and Jesse and Emily were the biggest things from them.
Yeah, but, I mean, even then, it was like, Jesse, like, was barely in the movie, and I felt like that was really weird.
He was, and that's... I'm funny you say that, because that's one of my flaws, too. I wish we had more of him.
Yeah, because he was just such. I mean,
he was entertaining in the first movie.
He was really funny and a really good performer. And I feel like
most definitely.
I feel like the biggest draw of these movies are the performances. Like, you know, you might be coming in a little bit for the comedy, or just because you like
an actor or something.
But it's like the acapella performances and stuff and the mashups. Are what's really going to bring people into it. So to not utilize like a really good performer in that way and a really good group, because they were always like set up as like, before the Bellas really like found themselves, they were the ones that were set up as kind of like the edgy sort of fresh group and that brought a lot to the table, brought a lot to the competitions, and I just feel like to kind of push that to the wayside. Maybe it was a matter of they felt it would have been too crammed, but I feel like it was just a disservice because they were so significant in the first movie.
Oh no, I agree. I think we should have had them more. And another flaw I didn't like is they kind of went through the same trouble again of finding the group. Well, it wasn't like they were all trying to find each other, trying to find their voice again, but they were. We kind of went through that in the first movie. What I would like to see maybe is since we had what was it, Dawes, what was
DOS
the name?
Sound Machine.
DOS Sound Machine was the antagonist in the movie, and they were kind of really good. So they were clearly better than the Bellas and the Troublemakers at the same time.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and finish the thought, and then I just have some.
Okay, they were clearly better. I wish we would had maybe instead of having the team trouble and kind of the Bellas need to find each other. Maybe we could focus on the individuals of the Bellas. Mm-hmm. Each of them have a personal story but then we could have more Jesse and Benji in there at the same time, and then they could have teamed up together to win the
Troublemakers and the Bellas team.
Yeah, to win the worlds.
Yeah.
And instead of the Bellas winning the worlds of course they kind of said they won by the emotional performance they did. But I thought the DOS Sound Machine was a better performance.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say. I mean, I felt that all throughout the movie, DOS Sound Machine was just more entertaining. Like I feel like my favorite performances by far were DOS Sound Machine. I mean, especially the end performance. Like it was so good. Like I got it made my hair stand up on end. Like my hair wasn't like this before I saw the movie. This is purely DOS Sound Machine.
DOS Sound Machine did it all.
This afro. But no, I mean seriously, like I felt like obviously there's a suspension of disbelief in movies.
Of course.
Especially like movies where it's like the underdogs have to like win it all or something like that. But I just felt like even within the mythos and the suspension of disbelief that this movie kind of begs of you, I still feel like DOS Sound Machine wins the worlds. And I feel like it almost would have served the plot better if they won if DOS Sound Machine did still win, but it was like, it was like the Rocky sort of ending, like the 1 point difference, and it was enough to kind of still get the Bellas what they needed. Like, it still turned the committee to because of the, like you said, it was an emotional appeal. Like that was like what the Bellas were
if they didn't go for the team up, I thought that would have been a good way to end it too. They did by themselves. They put emotional. They still lost, but they got reinstated.
Yeah,
and then they still got a victory out of it. But they also were a group, and maybe their individual stories got solved. I just wish we focused more on the individuals instead of the group. Yeah. And I think that would have been a neat play because last time was the group, this time's the individuals. Mm-hmm. A new twist on it, new drama.
And it's just so much of the first movie was like this kind of focus on it's not all about winning, it's about having fun. Even this movie like had that line, like the most important thing is having fun, isn't it, guys? And so I feel like you didn't need them to win. Like if it was like the kind of like generic like, oh, we need money for so and so's operation, that's why I had to win. That like a bunch of competition movies do,
Yeah.
You Got Served was like we had to pay back the drug lord.
Really? That's what You Got Served was about? I haven't seen You Got Served.
You Got Served.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, but if that was there, then yeah, they need to win worlds. But the stakes, like as far as like what winning meant, they weren't dramatic enough to make winning have to be a necessity. So that's just kind of thing. We've talked a little bit about Emily, the new Bella, the legacy. Something that I would have done different if I were the writer is that I would have made her more significant because in the grand scheme of things, all she did was contribute that song.
Yeah.
And like her actual like dynamics as far as her interacting with the other Bellas was almost nothing. I would have had it because you have this thing where Anna Kendrick is sort of thinking like she's struggling. There's tension between which like her dedication to the Bellas and her like desires for the future. And then you have this other character who her only sights are being a Bella and being good. I feel like that is prime for tension between those two characters, because you have Becca kind of pushing herself away from the group, and this character trying to like dig herself in and become a part of it, and maybe have that character be just as good as Becca, and then like the group starts like relying on her more and starts kind of like disregarding Becca. And I just think like having them be like rivals of sorts would have been a more interesting twist, and it also would have been sort of a parallel of Becca and Aubrey's relationship in the first movie.
Yeah.
Aubrey being the leader of the Barton Bellas in the
Yeah.
first movie. I just feel like there was just so much more you could have done. Like if you're going to introduce a new character and they're bringing something new to the table, a new personality, it feels that it just feels like you should do more with them. Like they should have a bigger impact on your protagonist. It's just kind of it's just a little irksome when they come in just to be, I'm just new, like, which was basically like her whole thing. Like, I'm just new.
Yeah, that kind of was her whole thing.
I just feel also the movie was just kind of bloated. Like there was some scenes that went a little too long. Like it's an hour 55 minutes.
What scenes did you think went too long?
I
don't know if I felt it was too bloated.
It had like a bunch of college-isms that we already got in the first movie, like the college party. I felt the college party scene went on a little too long.
You're talking about in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, like in the first act, like when Becca's late and everything. I feel like it just like it went too long. It was too many scenes of just people dancing with each other and stuff like that. I just feel like a better editor would have just trimmed it down just a little bit. Like it's not like it was enough to make me feel like, oh, like please be over, but it was enough for me to kind of be like, all right, let's we can move on. I got everything out of it. Like now at this point you're just milking jokes, and that starts teetering towards not good.
I don't know. I didn't really think that too much, on my opinion. Yeah. I didn't think the movie was too bloated. Biggest thing for me was just the repetitiveness of it.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's like it almost like step for step hit all the same notes. Even the part in the second act of Becca actually walking away from the team. Of course, they did the joke where she got caught in the net, which is kind of funny and changed it up. But it was like, all right, let's it can change it up just a little bit more. Like it doesn't have to be the same percent.
No. Yeah, but that was my biggest pet. I didn't think that it was too bloated. I just thought it was just. I wish it would have just done things a little different. Like I said, with the team, I would have done the team up. Mm-hmm. I would have had the trebles in there more, and I just would not have made it so repetitive. Yeah. Focus more on the individuals.
Yeah, and maybe just a little bit more like scenes of face-offs. Like I feel like movies like Step Up and You Got Served and stuff and whatever, all these like kind of dance and musical competition movies, it's like most of them, the primary focus are like these kind of like one-on-one team battle things, and they're generally successful. So I feel like a movie that's about competitive a cappella singing, I felt like you can have a few more instances of teams sort of competing against each other. And I mean, because I feel like those are the most successful portions of the films, of both films, is the actual just like competitive nature of it, and the kind of like fun that they have with it and the spins that they put on it. I just feel like just maybe like one more scene or two more scenes of just the Bellas against like lesser teams or something like that, just to kind of.
I can see that. Just like one-on-ones then?
Basically? Yeah. Just like little things. Instead of just like all the like solo performances that they did. Like maybe, especially because they're like building up to Worlds, it's like it felt like there was no...
No, I get what you're saying. Build. There was no like practice. No training really involved.
Yeah, exactly.
No like training with the scene.
No competing, because you could still hit those same notes of, oh, we don't have unity and we need to work on this, by having them compete against someone. And I just think that it's more entertaining than just the kind of like slapstick stuff that they had, like the fails. So I would probably say for me the score would be matinee price. Like, it's not my bread and butter.
Yeah.
But like, it wouldn't hurt you to pay full price for this movie. You'll get your money's worth. I just feel like it's not for everyone, and we've paid matinee price for it basically.
Yeah, we did
for a weekend, and I felt like that was perfect price. Like I felt like I got every bit of my money's worth out of it, and it wasn't hurting my wallet. So, a very strong matinee, borderline full price. Definitely, if you like the first movie, see it at night for full price. If you like just these kind of competition movies, like I said, it's very similar to You Got Served and Step Up. So if you just like that and maybe you haven't tried these movies out, just go ahead. I think you'll get every bit of your money's worth for it.
I think I'm going to go same score matinee. I think if you've seen the first one, and you enjoyed the first one, you'll really enjoy the second one. And you can pay full price. I would say if you haven't seen it, you can rent it. You can rent the first one and then watch the second one when it comes on rent. But I think matinee is just the perfect price for it. It's the perfect score. It's enjoyable. You're going to get your money's worth. If you're a fan of the first one, you can pay full price for it. But I enjoyed it, and I'm very pleased with the movie. I walked out entertained, and I walked out, thinking I got my money's worth.
Yeah, and if you pay a matinee price, maybe you can go watch it again just so you can see your favorite performances.
All right, so next week we will be doing Tomorrowland, and that is directed by Brad Bird, and it's with George Clooney and Britt Robertson. I'm actually really excited for this movie. Yeah. Are you excited for it? Was this the one that you weren't?
No, I'm pretty high on it. I mean, I know some people that aren't.
But, that's why I was wondering if you were one of them. I can't remember.
But no, I think it'll be really fun. It'll kind of be a return to form as far as like a legit summer movie.
Oh yeah, I think so. Because last week, I think we have for the past 2 weeks really haven't gotten a summer movie.
Yeah,
I think this is unfortunately. But Pitch Perfect 2 was good. I don't think it was a full summer movie. Mad Max probably would be in the full summer movie. Like we said in the beginning, we haven't seen any of them. Right.
So, so tune in for that next week. This has been Boys of Summer, and I've been Joseph.
And I've been Jeremy.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.